Yeah.
Hello, hello. Hello, testing. Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really hot up here. Hi, guys. So for those of you who weren't here at the top of the day, my name is Anna Duckworth. I'm the co-founder and chief content officer at Miss Grass. We have a mission to make cannabis accessible through education. So it's a pretty simple mandate. I won't get into the business model because y'all just heard about it from Varuni. So listen, this is the last panel of the day, which means we're very close to being able to get high off campus.
Drinking on campus.
Drinking on campus, because that fucking makes sense. Yeah, is it? So guys, listen, thank you so much for coming out. It's really nice to see you all here at the end of the day. I know it's been a lot of information, but I think just seeing that people are still here shows that there really is a need for these conversations, and to see all of the women speaking to all of the fucking issues makes me so happy. So this panel is conscious consumerism. I think that's been a through line in every conversation today. So I think, why don't we just set the stage first by saying that cannabis has a real opportunity. You've heard this all day long. The opportunity is that women and minorities can rule this industry, can have a seat at the table. What we're seeing now is 27% of executives, which I have a hard time believing, but it's a decent number, of executives are women right now in the cannabis industry. 17% are people of color. And you can compare that to, I think, 21% of our women in other industries, and 13% are people of color. So you can see that we are doing something right. We need to do more. So rather than seeing those numbers drop, which we have seen, by the way, we need to see them go up. So that's why an event like this is really important, and that's why it's really important for you guys to be conscious consumers. James Anthony talked about it at the top of the day, that the way to really affect change, to make sure that the brands rise and the organizations rise with the good ethos, is for you guys to be conscious consumers. It's for the brands to be thoughtful about how they come to market. And it's really ultimately for when you guys go to the dispensaries, when you guys go to the CBD marketplaces, when you guys go to the events, that you're voting with your dollars. It's powerful, and it's all we've got. So please do that. So I'm going to introduce everybody. We've got Julia Jacobson, who is the CEO and co-founder of Aster Farms. We have Tiana Arriaga, who is the director of procurement at Papa and Berkeley. We've got Dorian Morris, who is the founder and CEO of Undefined Beauty. And we've got Charlene Kaabai, who is the co-founder and heads up all operations for the People's Dispensary. So guys, I think I'm going to throw it to you. I'd like you all to sort of tell us a little bit about you and what you do and what your company stands for. Julia, take it away. Also, get your mics out of there. That was. Let's do that now.
Yeah. Okay, hi, I am Julia Jacobson. I am co-founder and CEO of Aster Farms. Aster Farms is a sustainable cannabis brand. We really care about how we treat the earth and how we treat the people on the earth and the people who have gotten us to where we are today. And so, that's really where we come from.
I'm terrible with mics, so this is going to be a struggle. My name is Tiana Arriaga, and I do all the purchasing for Papa and Berkeley, and that means the cannabis side of purchasing. We're basically stationed in Eureka, California. That's where all of our products are made, and we source all from the Emerald Triangle within California. We want to represent best in class always, and that also means in how we deal with our sustainable partnerships with our farms, and quality first, always 100%. And that means unlocking the potential of cannabis to all of our consumers. So, yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Dorian Morris. I'm founder and CEO of Undefined Beauty, which lives at the intersection of clean beauty meets CBD meets social impact. And my brand is really focused on the democratization of beauty.
Hi everyone, my name is Charlene Kaba and I'm the co-founder of the People's Dispensary. We're based out in Oakland, California, and snaps to that. And we just acquired a dispensary in Portland, Oregon. Just this month, we just got signed over the license, so that's huge for us. And thank you. Our focus is in our company, we commit 10% of our net profits to local communities to help empower them, and we do also help uplift marginalized communities, especially for Black and brown folks that were affected in the war on drugs. We put women on the forefront and the LGBT community, and again, those are our main focuses.
Fuck yeah.
Yes.
So I'd love to hear from some of you guys about what conscious consumerism really means, and how much thought we've really given that. So Julia, why don't you start?
Yeah, so for us, it's really about local. It's about the community. It's about hiring local, sourcing local, really being part of your community. And so that's really important to sustainability, especially in the sense of big ag coming in, and how we bring the people who have made this industry into the fold, and not let them get pushed to the side when this industry goes to the next step. So for sustainability to us is conscious consumerism, and that means everything from our planting techniques to the products, the materials we use for our packaging, how we market our company, the dispensaries that we choose to work with. And so for us, you said it great, if you put your wallet where your mouth is, that's how we are all gonna get this industry to a place where conscious consumerism really wins.
Tiana, take it away.
I would like to definitely echo what you said, because we work with a ton of farms just like yours. If you haven't made the trek up to way north of California, in our area of Humboldt County, Mendocino, and Trinity County, it's rural. And there are lots of little tiny towns separated by expansive highways, and there's not a lot of resources. It's just beautiful and gorgeous and lots of great weed. So, and yes, I said weed. But in that, as Papa and Berkeley has made their home in Eureka, California, it is every day that we see our farm partners around in our communities, so it is so vital for us to purchase from them, not from big ag, and from these
Big
people.
ag is big agriculture.
Yeah. Thank you. And from the families that also made this industry possible. Everyone knows that Humboldt County has a reputation, and there's a reason for that. There is decades and decades of growers that have been just hiding out in the hills. And some of these stories of, one of my farm partners, his earliest memory is him running through the fields, plucking off yellow leaves off the plants with his dad. And for us, that's what Papa and Berkeley really wants to do, is help these farms stay in business for future opportunities of federal legalization and international business. So.
It's really rare that you see a major brand like Papa and Berkeley actually give a shit about that, so thank you.
Oh, we give a lot of shits about it.
So I think Undefined comes from it at a very unique angle. So on this panel, I'm probably the only one that's a cannabis outsider. I am a beauty girl, I'm a beauty insider, and I've spent my career in beauty. But I've created this brand that infuses both CBD and clean beauty. And for me, it was important to infuse a social benefit and social purpose because, unfortunately, a lot of people are incarcerated because of CBD or because of cannabis. And I want to take something that was negative and bring positivity to it. And I can do that as a business owner by ensuring that I'm infusing social purpose into my operational model, so that way it's sustainable impact. And so that's what I'm focused on at Undefined, because I feel like there is so much opportunity within the space to give back. And I think that I can be a leader to disrupt the brand models to make that possible.
So the People's Dispensary, I think it says in itself for conscious consumers, we really focus on the people. We have a strong team that really touches and build relationships with our customers, which is important. I know, as as we go to other dispensaries and the experiences we have with all the many dispensaries out there, we kind of broke it down to like what is the experience we didn't like, and we formulated in our company where we want to provide the best experience for our customers, whether it's recreational or for medical reasons. And I think it's important that building that relationship with the customer to create that conscious purchase for them is important, and that's kind of how we rolled.
Yeah, so what I like about all of you guys is, and what I like about this industry in general, is there are a lot of people who invest in sort of these brand values and ethos in a way that you might not see in another category. So, I mean, I applaud you all for doing that, and I think that that's what makes cannabis such a special and unique industry. It's inherently political, and if you think about other brands in other categories, how many of them take a real political stance? How many put a stake in the ground? How many have a real point of view? And I think that that's what really makes people connect with brands. So I want to talk a little bit about like how you guys think about communicating that to the consumer. Anyone's free to take that.
Yeah, I'll take that on. I think if any of you know Papa and Berkeley products, we try to be everywhere in California. And the reason for that is we're trying to give wellness to everyone we possibly can come in contact with. So much cannabinoids and whole plant material goes into our products. And because I do all the sourcing, I know what farms and where it's coming from, and it's the cleanest of the clean cannabis that you will find in the entire state, hands down. And that is going to your families, that's going to you, that's going to people you love, kids. And it's a powerful thing. It's a powerful conversation because, and this is what keeps me up at night, you know, the people use it as medicine. Of course, we like the other effects of it too, and feeling lifted and getting high. I mean, I love being high too, but at the end of the day, for a lot of people, it's pain relief and medicine. And we want to make sure people are getting the cleanest that they can, the most powerful medicine they can.
Okay, but I want to push you a little bit further. How do you communicate that to the consumer? I mean, there are so many things that you need to think about as people who are working in this industry, and for many of you as founders. How do you allocate time and resources to making sure that the consumer really understands what your message is?
I'll jump in here for a second. So right now, you know, there isn't that much brand loyalty necessarily in the cannabis industry here in California. Brands are pretty new. And so what you see in the dispensaries, it's all boots on the ground. And so if you've been in a dispensary, you probably saw a table on the side that kind of looks like these tables and somebody telling you about their product. Those demos are everything for a brand. It is our ability to actually talk to the consumer, not just educating the bud tender who we then rely on to, you know, give them that information, but we need to be there ourselves. And you know, you can have those conversations. You can talk about what it means to have 0 parts per billion of pesticides. And when you say something like that to a consumer, it opens them up to realize, wait, there are pesticides in cannabis? You know, you start unlocking all these questions for people. And the more you question and the more you dig into it, you know, the better it is for all of us.
Well, I agree that it is boots on the ground. I think that's also why just with Papa and Berkeley, we have been everywhere. It's not just a sales team or a marketing team. It's every single employee of this company is passionate about it, and we believe in it, and it has been a lot of door to door. My role has been farm to farm, road to road, as you know well. So, yeah, I definitely agree.
I also agree that for me specifically, I'm a soft launch brand, so I'll be officially launching next month. But it's really been boots on the ground. It's been going to events. It's been the storytelling about the brand message on a one-on-one level. And I think also social media has been a big vehicle. Unfortunately, there's a lot, the previous panel mentioned, there's a lot of restrictions around how you can do that from a paid standpoint. But I think just building an organic community and being able to engage with them and have them understand what you're focused on, what you stand for and what you do not stand for has been really important in building the brand awareness and just the overall brand ethos.
Just to feed off everyone, it's also just telling them up front of what that company is producing. Like if it's a woman-owned company or grow house, like where did that plant come from, or who grow it? How was it grown? I think, you know, as a dispensary, you know, we we curate each item, and it's important that we know where the plant came from, whether there's pesticides or not, or just being conscious of the people behind it. And it's important to train the staff, the bud tenders. It's important that the bud tenders are the ones that are educating the consumer right at the front, and the proper training is important. But again, just putting it out there of what each company that's in your store or what you're promoting is important.
Can I just add one more thing? Something that we always believe is that right now it's the novelty of cannabis being legal, right? And we believe that once that novelty wears off, people are going to care about what's in their cannabis and what's behind their cannabis the same way that they do with all the other products in their life. I think 70% of millennials will pay more to purchase sustainable products, and I think 83% if there's like a social impact attached to it. So we really believe that once the novelty kind of wears off, people are really going to care about the things that we're talking about here.
So let's talk about social impact. What do we do as brands? I mean, there's one thing where you do sort of spot treatment, like we're going to do 10% of sales this week and donate it to a charity. Or, for example, this event, all proceeds from this event are going to go to the Hood Incubator and Success Centers at SF. That's great, right? But that stuff is also, on its face, not sustainable. So how do we think about creating these sort of frameworks and these sort of paths where we can continue to do that? So I think, you guys all have a really interesting approach to that. So let's unpack it a little bit.
Oh, okay. So I think this is like a rabbit hole, but, from my standpoint, paying farms what they're worth. I think a lot of companies try to come in and get cannabis on bulk for way cheaper prices because, everyone has a bottom line. We understand that, but it's a lot of work to grow a clean product, and there's a lot of money that goes into it. There's blood, sweat, and tears that go into it, and it can make or break the lives of people between just paying a few more dollars for a pound of flour, or paying a little bit higher price, and the taxes alone on everything is strangling our farms. So I think paying people what they're worth and investing in those relationships, because sure, you can go out and maybe lowball some farms and maybe get an inconsistent supply, or maybe work with farmers that you don't know, but then maybe testing comes up and it fails. And then so you're out all that money. It's not a sustainable model to just go in and undercut everybody. The best way forward is to pay people what they're worth, and your brand will carry that forward. If you have quality cannabis, your products are going to speak for themselves, and people will come back because they work or they taste good. And, it's just quality always carries forward, in my opinion.
I want to go back to that a little bit later, but I'd love to hear from you guys a little bit more about how you approach that sort of very sustainable social and corporate responsibility piece.
Yeah, so from a brand perspective, there's a lot of costs that go into building a brand. And so one thing that I've been very focused on is my sourcing. And sourcing both from the actual labs I work with, but also every piece of the supply chain. So you need to have a designer to create the brand. So making sure that I'm focusing on engaging diverse people. As far as I think about sourcing the glass for my product, making sure that I'm sourcing it from a sustainable source, as well as minority-owned businesses. And so it's thinking about all of these purchasing decisions I need to make across my entire operational business plan, and making sure that I'm doing it in ways where I'm empowering communities.
So when we created the People's Dispensary, we really sat down and we really wanted to formulate an equitable business that can create general wealth for everybody. Because right now in the cannabis industry, you all know that in investing in any of those businesses, you'd have to be an accredited investor. In the People's Dispensary, we created a framework where our friends and family are able to invest in as little as $1,000 to $50,000. And, with this growing business, in 2020, it's supposed to be a $500 billion industry. And we wanted everyone to prosper in this, and we are trying to create again, a framework of how everyone can benefit from this. And most importantly, again, through people that were affected on the war on drugs. Like, these people have been in prison for many years, and once that, once their record gets cleared, because as, the law changes and, cannabis becomes legal, it's like, how are they going to benefit as well? Like right now, you have 97% white male that are prospering from this business. So the focus is, for us, is how are we, POC, black and brown folks, can prosper in this, no matter what background we had, that especially was affected from the war on drugs. And again, we focus on it where, again, in our profits, we are the 10% profits that we get from the net profit. We created an impact fund which can help these communities. I want to give an example. About a year ago, we had a group of folks that were from Fresno, and they came to us, and they wanted to know what we were about, because they heard that, oh yeah, we're going to be in the industry and we help people, but how are we going to help them? And they just expressed their story of what they're doing. These were youths that were involved in gangs in Fresno, but they had great skills in making grow houses. A lot of them had backgrounds, they were put in jail a couple times, in and out, getting into trouble, and they have this great skill, but it's like, how can they benefit in this business? And what we did was, we did provide them with a small fund. We kind of mentored them on how to get into the business, just as little as how to get a business license. From that little donation that we gave to them, they were able to create their own business, which now they have a warehouse in Fresno, and they're building grow houses as we speak. So just a little amount, you know what I'm saying? I think in this business framework, it's important that to create something where everybody again can prosper.
So I actually have a question for her. So how do you tell that message so people understand, so that way they can come support you because you're supporting the community around you? So they're not going to, the Medmans of the world. They're actually making an impact.
I think it's just being on the forefront, as we're doing right now. We're, sharing our stories. You all are listening to us all, and I'm sure from this, you could be the seed to other people and inform everybody on what we're doing and what needs to be heard. This is all real stuff, and in order to be there again, we're all strong. Look at this, we got strong voices, and again, it's education, training, and partnering up with the right people that are conscious about what, how they want to be involved in this industry.
So, if you think about any business, if you don't think about culture at the beginning of the business, if you don't establish that with the team and make sure that everybody understands, and then we're all pulling for that all the way through as you onboard new people, as you think about new strategies, it's really hard to implement that retroactively. I think what we're starting to see now is, white men in this industry are thriving. They're billionaires. There are a lot of people upon whose backs this industry was built who aren't allowed to participate because they have criminal records, or because they're afraid to participate because they will be targeted at 4 times the rate of a white person for doing the same thing. So, I think what we're starting to see now is these big companies that we know didn't give it that thought at the beginning, that aren't coming from a place of authenticity, are starting to sort of retroactively try and build that into the business. Do you guys think can that be a sustainable model too? Is there room for these companies to have a gross oversight and do good by us now?
If you genuinely mean it, but how transparent and that's, how authentic can you be? If you really mean it, I think everyone can mess up and atone for that and work towards a better future. But if you don't mean it and you don't care, it's pretty transparent, I think, to a lot of us who have had to look at the subtleties of people for just even being judged for consuming cannabis at one point, let alone any other implications that could be for a job, or, if you're around, like a rec teacher, anything like that. And then you have, these big companies that aren't super transparent, and they're like, oh, we made a faux pas. Again, I don't think if it's authentic, I think a lot of people can see through that, but it is education and understanding.
One of the biggest things we've seen with those kinds of companies is that they're hiring from outside the cannabis world. They're hiring ex-liquor people. That's a big thing. Ex-pharma, ex-liquor, ex-tobacco. It's a big thing that companies are hiring those types of people. And that is not supporting a sustainable industry. You should be hiring people who have been in the cannabis industry, especially if they have been arrested and persecuted and that this has affected their life. Those are the people that we have to hire.
Yeah, I really liked when I was talking to you guys about the People's Dispensary. One of the things that really jumped out, in particular when I was talking to your co-founder, Christine, was that you guys identified that there were no people of color managing the money, and that was something that you wanted to see changed. Can you talk a little bit about why that's so important?
Well, I think we need to be the forefront of this industry. I mean, it brings it back to our ancestors, We were the ones, or they were the ones that started growing, this medicinal, magical plant, And it's important because we are the ones that suffered in the past as, white men succeeded in this business, Our best dealers or our best growers are in jail right now, if you think about it. If they come back out right now, like, I bet you if we show them how to run this business, they'll thrive just as like MedMen, for example.
And so I don't know how many of you are familiar, I'm sure most of you, but once you do get out of jail with a cannabis offense, it's not like you can go straight into the industry. You have a record. In order to be expunged or have your record cleared, it's actually like back to panel number 1, so fucking complicated that the barrier to entry is too high for most people to even begin. So there are a lot of organizations out there like Cage Free Cannabis that's putting together these expungement toolkits and workshops to try to help people navigate an incredibly complex legal landscape. And that's the kind of stuff that as businesses, everyone should be aligning with at the beginning. How do you take a percentage of your proceeds all the time and contribute it to an organization like that can make sure that these people can come back into the industry, who can thrive and make the industry better because they know their shit,
Exactly.
This is all like very idealistic in a sense, but I'd like to play devil's advocate a little bit. At the end of the day, there are efficiencies that need to be made in order for businesses to really thrive. Patagonia is a good example of a company, but 1 in a million that succeeded, that never compromised, never sacrificed. But I don't think it's valuable to look at a Patagonia and be like, I'm just going to do what they're going to do, or what they did because it worked for them. Odds are it might not work for you. So when you guys think about like that issue, and I know that's painful to think about, but humor me for a minute, like, what can we do as businesses that like want to win? And by win, I don't mean make the most money. I mean actually have an impact and not just disappear because you aren't competing. How can you navigate that?
Well, for us, it was supply chain. A lot of us in these companies, where are you getting your supply from? And that is a whole landscape in California. We have on the desolate 5 freeway all those farms that have been out there for decades that have used pesticides, and you can see that it's desolate and it's just been treated really poorly, the land. And also in Santa Barbara County, there's areas all through there that have just been tormented in agriculture, and so when you get up to the northern part of the state, for us, you see there's wildlife, there's a ton of greenery, there's rivers, and it's wild in a sense. And that's where we're really trying to invest, is trying to keep that cleanliness and that sustainability pushing forward, because those farms had to grow that way. A lot of them couldn't use certain pesticides. One, because it was the hippie ethos of Northern California. I know a lot of people can be familiar with that, but also just kind of old school farming ways where you don't use pesticides. And for us, it was really developing a strong supply chain with our dollar, investing in farms that really care and that are doing the right thing and pushing them forward. And the only reason why Papa and Berkeley, it's not the only reason why, but a big reason why, is our supply chain is filled with amazing farms that have worked for years. Some of them who were arrested and had to go through the expunging process to get felonies taken off their record because they got rolled by feds. And decades and decades of, torment that come into this legal landscape now, and the only way that they can maintain is through money, you know, and putting food on their table through the dollar. So that's the way we've invested, is in our local community up north and our local farms.
A really interesting thing about cannabis is that if you grow and cultivate and do everything sustainably, it's a lot cheaper than the other way. You know,
tell us more.
1% of the entire country's energy use comes from indoor grow operations. Indoor grows, if they get a pest, they don't have an active ecosystem in their soil that gets rid of those pests. They have to spray it with chemicals. So, you know, growing outdoors, using the sunlight, which is free and also gives better benefits if you're using full spectrum, you're getting better product, and your margins are healthy enough that you can get to the end of this industry without being squashed. So it's really interesting that it's cheaper and better to go that route.
Oh, well, I would like to even jump in on that. So in a case study, there was a competition up north where the same clones were given out to all these different farms.
A clone is just a small cannabis plant.
Yeah, just a little baby, but it's all the same genetic information, so there's no variance that way. Everyone gets the same genetic copy, and then it's yours to do with whatever what you're going to do with. And after farm after farm after farm, the one that won with the highest potency was the most organic, natural, outdoor, sun-grown farm. And it's all the same, but some were super low potency, testing low, and it's crazy depending on what they fed it, what they sprayed it. But the highest one testing in the high 20, I think it was 27%. Yeah, way better than a lot of the other farmers, and it was because of sun-grown organics. So.
I think also researching those different companies. I want to give a shout out to my procurement, Aima. She's, you know, it's really important that you have the right folks that will connect with those people. And again, like what you said, there's only a fraction of POC companies out there, and it's like, why not go beyond that just to go and support them, you know? Like for example, in Portland, there's over 600 industries or people in the business, and why not support the 1% of POC-owned business, you know what I mean? And again, the partnership is very important to build with them, because you grow as a stronger team, and the messaging will definitely show, and it'll show how transparent your company is on what you're really the message that you're trying to bring, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, what we've been talking about is social equity, community impact, environmental sustainability. I'd like to, for my last question, just talk about public health. You know, so what's at stake really when the consumer is incredibly vulnerable? You know, how can they go about thinking consciously about their cannabis purchases from their health perspective? Good luck.
Well, I can talk about it from a beauty perspective. Your skin is your biggest organ. So what you're putting on your skin is making it inside of your body. So I think clean skincare is really important, and CBD is a nice conduit to allow for better penetration of the products that you're using, and doing it in a safe and effective way.
And I also like to think that if you're not familiar with regulations and testing, cannabis products, any product with cannabis in it, is tested at such a strict level that we are all purchasing products that come nowhere near as close. Lotions, shampoos, soaps, that if you did run them to a test, you'd probably be appalled at what's in there.
And you did. Tiana's not allowed to talk about it, but I'll tell you later. The products that you're buying at Whole Foods, the products that you think are natural and clean, would never get on the shelves in Europe, okay? And on top of that, they're full of tick poison, for example.
True story. And if we added cannabis to those products, then they would fail. So it's an insane, you know, way to think about it. So for me, in my personal life, I've just been buying everything. I look at the companies, see where they source, because that's near and dear to my heart, and that's what keeps me up at night, or my farms up north. It keeps me up at night. I'm not lying. And I try lotions. I'm looking for, cannabis toothpaste soon. I would like to see some of those. There's all these products that I'm thinking of, and at that point, then you're getting the cleanest of the clean by definition in the state of California based on the regulations, because everything else it's not playing by the same set of rules.
That's a really interesting framework to approach your beauty. If it has weed in it and it's passed the test, it's good. But knew that. Did you want to say one thing?
No, just that, it is ironic that cannabis is held to these standards. And so when you start to learn about this, you start to wonder, okay, why is our water not regulated like that? Why are the almonds in the orchard next door to our cannabis field not, regulated like that? So I think cannabis in those strict regulations is going to help actually open up people's eyes to be even more conscious consumers.
Well, and that too, the resilience of the cannabis community for brands to be out here and making it to retail market, that's where I get all the feels, because we've all had to overcome so many things to be here, whether you're a consumer or a brand owner, and I just keep it coming. Give them hell.
Yeah.
Give them hell.
With you, sister.
Just like food, everybody has specific wants or likes, like whether your guilty pleasure is McDonald's or something, or Whole Foods, like the comparison. And being that top service to the consumer is important, and to see what they really want. Or if they have, having the little conversation of like, how was your day? What did you feel? Or are you stressed? And just asking those simple questions can really create that relationship on what they need and what they would like to see on the shelf.
Papa, a lot of people don't know that Papa and Berkeley also started another brand called Papa Select. And so for those people who like to dab, we are still...
Tell people what a dab is.
Oh, yay. Well, I'm not the expert on it, but, and there's different ways. It's basically you can either have live rosin or live resin. There's two separate processes. One's done solventless, and one has a solvent like butane or ethanol that extracts all the yumminess from the plant that you want to smoke. So most of our relief line, that is topical, some edibles, but we do have an inhalable brand that just launched, and that is us going to the farm, finding the best of the best strains, and we find what we think will wash well with ice water extraction. So we literally take fresh plants, freeze them, process them in ice water, and create this beautiful bubble hash that looks like moon dust. It is so beautiful and pure and clean. And we can either take that product to market, or we can press that with a little bit of heat and make live rosin, which again is solventless and the pure of the pure. And that's just another way to, I think, like when you're looking at other companies, whatever product you like, see how they are manufacturing it. What's their process? And also, are they good manufacturing? A lot of us are startups, so is it like a good manufacturing environment, or are we still doing this in a place that's kind of sketchy? There's so much education, and you can just go down all those rabbit holes if you want, but education is power.
Truly. I think what we're hearing here is it's hard work for the consumer to be a conscious one. But the encouraging part about that is I think that there's a real appetite right now amongst consumers to do the hard work, because we see them doing it in other categories. But I think the other really encouraging part is that, figuring out what your cannabis journey is. So imagine you're a total noob, or you're coming back to it after a bad experience in college. You have to do the work to find an experience, a product, a modality, like a form that works for you. And for everybody, it's different. So if you're going to invest in that, you might as well also invest in understanding where your product comes from and what you're supporting when you pay for it. I think we're going to throw it to the audience for cues. Anybody? I actually have the other mic, but I'm also loud, so I don't...
Oh, so hello, my name is Perry Jones. I'm the CEO of Joe RS. Stands for Hydro Regulated United Smokers. And this is a united, convention. That I'm really the privilege for me to be here. But I'm also a San Francisco equity member, and we're talking about the equity and equity up. But I also come from the so-called black market too. So I was actually affected But this impact has been a positive impact on me because it empowered me. It made me stronger. It gave me the courage to be able to face the police, to be able to educate my mom and my dad. Because even with my wife, to empower her, because this is the one who wrote me when I was in jail for the weed. She's the one who helped me power myself up to get myself back on point. And my mom is my biggest revolutionary person behind me, because she told me, I mean, what you're doing is not right. You're doing it for the healing. You're going to go through a lot behind this right here, but if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. And this is something that I'm not going to fall for, because I know, as I was telling my wife, I feel kind of bad for being here because I got dudes doing life. I got some dudes in the grave behind a plant. And even hearing where she's coming from the farmers, I got farmers that's old white guys with coveralls that never been to the city, and we've been doing business for a long time. And it's been providing for my family and for my market. So I just want to, you know what I mean, and in this industry, as you say, it's not just a man industry, it's a white man industry. And I'm not racist at all. You know what I mean? This plant is the neutralizer what got us all here today. This smoke and this dro, this is what unites us together, right? So my whole point, and I come very intelligent where I stand at, always had an intelligent point. Even when I'm talking to the dope dealer on the street today, they're like, where the fuck you going, to Berkeley? For what? They ain't gonna feel you. And I get that resistance a lot. I'm like, no, it's my job to educate. Because, I mean, I gotta educate in order for you not to get robbed, shot, murdered, or anything else. That's a responsibility I took. So I want to give special thanks out, you know what I mean, to Angela. It's women that's behind my board and behind my campaign, because as I see it and being here, is the mothers that nurture me, to help me to get here, and also to fight to even get to an equity, because I didn't want to go to City Hall, because I felt as though that's the same system that put me in that situation and everybody else. So today I just want to tell you, the women and the men in the room, thank you for what you're doing, you know what I mean, and education in Oxford. Angela White is really responsible, and I want to thank you today for being at my graduation. And as I tell her and another person, Heidi, I'm not sure if he's here, but that's a local dispensary that's really mentoring me and giving me that push from a businesswoman's point of view, to not just pushing me, but like Harriet Tubman did, almost putting a gun to my head and saying, you got to do this. This is what you got to do, not just for the black man, but there's whites that's affected by this right here too. There's farmers that went to jail. There's Jeff Jones that's working at Oxford. I just graduated this last weekend from Oxford. I made alumni. I'm gonna leave on this note. Right now, I'm not focused on the money, because I know it's gonna come, because I've been getting it on this part. So that's a whole nother conversation. The part that I'm really happy on is the intellectual property. I'm brilliant in what I'm doing now, and it's because of education and for being in a school with for pioneers that went through this before. The same thing, Al Chapo and Frank Lucas and all these, this opportunity, I got opportunity to do what they couldn't do. And I just want to thank you guys, man, and let you know what you do, what you invest is what you get back. It's just like royal soil. The better soil that you got and the more better seeds you put into it when you're growing, the better blossom and fruit that you're going to get. So I'm a fruit of that, and all the work that you guys doing. I represent the streets and those who locked up in cells eating noodles right now behind being prosecuted. So I just want to tell y'all thank you, and I will love you guys' support and impact. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brett. I work at Vangst. Vangst is a cannabis recruitment platform. And we've been in the industry for about 4.5 years, started in Denver. We have a local office in Oakland. And this idea of social equity is really close to me. Also, I did some work with Angela and the folks in San Francisco before. And so it's really awesome what's going on. I'm curious to know, as Vangst has supported more than 10,000 people in cannabis get jobs, we have now a new gigs app platform. Anyway, that being said, I'm wanting, we need to invest in social impact more, or just period. And I'm curious, we're at an important pivot moment where I think we can do that. And I would like to know, if looking at us, what would you suggest if you could offer that?
I can. I think as we're talking about education, and that's the platform here, how do we take our industry professionals and make them more professionals for this industry? Let's invest in training programs in cannabis manufacturing. Let's invest in, say you have a cannabis brand and a dream, let's invest in these pilot projects so we could get new businesses off the ground, especially if you're of youth and you're just emerging into this market. And I think so many younger individuals feel hopeless about their careers and goals and just direction. Let's inspire that in this industry, because I think we have a lot of creative minds moving forward. But I definitely think manufacturing, distribution, and logistics are key places that we could train people like good manufacturing principles and practices. Let's do it. Let's invest in an educational campus in California that can do that. I see a need there, and I think that would be great.
I also think, as far as training, thinking outside of the box, taking out the stigma of what cannabis, the stigma that's out there with cannabis, and really educating either the youth or whoever wants to be in the industry is important.
Does that answer your question, though? I mean, I'm thinking like you're asking for like a really specific.
It's a good start. I think it's.
Invest in them, the success center. I say give the money back to the success center so more equity.
Sure, yeah. I think those kind of partnerships would be key. Yeah, I mean, like the idea of corporate social responsibility. We're not Starbucks, we're not MedMen, and those kinds of things, but the like social impact as a whole. Here with Richard Ng from the Alliance, we're working with Make Green Go from the City of Oakland, those kinds of things. So I just, we can take this again in another chat, but.
No, but I'd like you to hand the mic to the woman who spoke up.
Oh. No, I just said I think you should donate if you're looking at like building programs back and kind of bringing things full circle, that you could invest in the success centers or the entities that are out there helping equity applicants through the process. I myself am a commissioner on the City of Berkeley's Cannabis Council, and so we're developing the equity program right now. And so being able to establish that different stuff in a way so that individuals are able to sort of leverage whatever stream you build, whatever cash flow you have to bring themselves upstream.
I also have one more on that too. I think like if you are an investor and you're serious in stabilizing this economy, invest in our small farms in California, invest in the craft cannabis in California, and help these people stay in market as the big titans are putting more and more pressure on them. That's where the money should go, is the small people in this business, so they have a viable chance at building these multi-million-dollar brands for themselves because they fought so hard for it.
Hi. I was going to ask a question about packaging, but Perry just kind of moved my spirit. So I really want to ask about what your companies are doing from a hiring perspective, because I'm finding it personally pretty hard to get hired into the industry. It seems like unless you are already kind of in the know or know somebody, you're not going to get in. And so I would think that from an equity applicant standpoint, it's like extra hard. So what kind of regulations or what kind of changes need to happen to business policies so that they're more equitable when they hire, or when they're looking at the amount of people that they're hiring from the ground in these communities that have been ravaged by the war on drugs and things like that?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, Papa and Berkeley, I'd have to say, is an amazing company because we have such an age range from young to older, from super green in the industry to years and years of experience, and that diversity makes us rich. And I think that model should be, it's actually a tenet of sustainability. If you want to have a diverse workforce because it makes you that much more diverse and better and adaptable. And I mean, the fact that I'm a woman doing all the cannabis purchasing and negotiating for the company shows the stance of where we're at with that, because most people in my position are male. And it's a very dominated industry, and I'm also queer, and so that's another huge, and so I think like if you find the companies that look like you, that look like us, and that aren't just the same silhouette of pictures in their workforce. I mean, we're out there. come move up north and come work with us.
Yeah, we're looking for people like
Yeah,
you.
we are.
And it's, as a company, it's actually really tough. You know, you don't go to like Indeed.com and find, you know, like a resume for somebody who's going to be good for cannabis. So we are all looking for people like you. And I don't have an answer to that, but I think forums like this, go to these speaker forums, go to conferences, go to summits, and just talk to people.
Well,
And-
yeah, that works for somebody like me that can afford a $50 ticket to a summit. I'm talking more about maybe Perry's cousin or somebody else who has been, you know, not as well versed at sitting through a summit for a day. What are your companies doing so that you can bring these people in and kind of get them into the industry in a more organic and more fruitful way? I think that's more of my question.
Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, just organically going into like the business itself, sometimes just going up and seeing what you like or seeing the people. I mean, what she said is, you know, if they look like you and, you know, you like the vibe in the store and, you know, if they do the research and look at the store's mission is important. And I think just for them to approach and, you know, even just simply saying what skills they have that they can provide to us is important. Like for us, we're pretty open. Like we're almost like family oriented. Like, oh, if you know them, cool. But we do have an extensive training program that we're creating right now. So it's important that we train everybody, you know, to be the best. But it's as simple as just coming in and just saying, oh, you know, do you have anything open for us, or you know.
I would second that. I think at Miss Grassel we've actually seen a lot, and we're a small team, but several of our hires have come to us through Instagram. So people are really just banging down the door directly. I think that's one really, really great way to do it. The other thing is, and I think Angela, who I lost, is Angela's going to get up and talk, right, at the end quickly and explain to you what Success Centers SF does, but that's what you do. That's what the fuck you do. Yeah, right? And so then from a business perspective, aligning with Angela, right? And making sure that you're hiring, because Angela says that this is who you should hire. Yep. She knows. And so like, let's find more Angelas, like let's find them all. And then that answers your bank's question again. But yeah, thank you for that.
So I actually have one more thing to add. So I am a solo single founder, team of one, but I have lots of needs. So if anyone in the audience, or even to your point, you said you have people on the ground, have them email me. I'm looking for people that can do freelance work. hello@un-definedbeauty.com, or go on my Instagram. I'm very focused on empowering people that have been impacted. So that's perfect.
And also to piggyback on all that, I also know in our area that if you are new to the industry or want to get into it, they have cannabis employment services now too that you can approach, and they help you craft resumes. So even if you don't know what you want to do, they can put you in jobs that train you and then get you further into the industry, which we have used those services, and it's been super awesome. And also, when you are applying too, and maybe many of us know this in the room or not, if you have to hide your black market history, don't work for them. You know, be proud of where you come from. So, and being mindful to people who are in the industry. If you have fear going into a new job and you can't be honest about it, find somebody else. So.
Thank you for the question.
Oh, so to piggyback off what she said, so I am looking for people. My name is Reese, and I am part of the social injustice program. I am actually a woman-owned cannabis delivery service in San Francisco. We have been licensed for a year now. And we carry Papa and Berkeley, Kiva, and some other brands out there. And I know I heard a few people talk about like advertising and things like that. I have been shut down for the 6th time on Instagram currently, and I do not push swipe up. I do not put $ on my ads. I do not post anything that we don't post. I repost Kiva ads. I repost Papa and Berkeley ads. I do not do anything that the terms do not let us do, but they still shut us down. And so it is hard for a small business like me, because I have run this business solo for a year and a half up into 3 weeks ago. It's called Posh Green Collective. We're a delivery, cannabis boutique delivery service in San Francisco. Up until 3 weeks ago, I did everything, even my licensing practices myself. I have no lawyer, no attorney. So you can do this if you work hard and get around the right groups. I was happy to be here. My mentor, Heidi, purchased a ticket for me, and it's nice to see a lot of women in this industry, because when I go to all these events, I'm always the only woman, and really the only woman of color. And when I go, people don't think that I'm there for business. They think I'm there as a worker. And there's nothing wrong with that, because it's a position for everybody. But when I go, I'm not greeted the same as others at events, at events. But what I can say, if you want to get in this business, keep working hard, keep going to these events. We are looking for a lot of interns and different people, because we are moving pretty fast. I have a lot of things going on. I am opening up a storefront in San Francisco in 2 months. I've been having it sitting for a year. So you can do it. And like she said, I've done this. When I say everything, I mean the buying, the selling, the delivering, the website, the everything you can think of that goes behind the business. It was only me up until 3 weeks ago, and it's been a year and a half. I was my own lawyer. I was everything. So if you're serious about this business, you can do it. Just keep going. You're gonna get some down days, some bad days, some hard days. You're gonna work 20-hour days. Yes, you will. But at the end of the day, it will be worth it. I finally got my first billboard, and she was asking about that because Instagram kept shutting me down, and I didn't know what to do, and it was depressing me, that I wind up getting a billboard. And I place it in the demographics that I choose to, where I want my product placed at. And when you start doing that, that's when other product brands will come to you and they want to buy shelf space. I've already had people offer to buy shelf space at my store, and I haven't even opened it yet. Because there's a lot of brands out there, and we stand behind every brand that we carry, because if we don't, that means that we are not standing behind our customer. If our customer is not happy and the person we are carrying their product, they don't stand behind it, then what does it say for us when it's a return? Because we do return things, because that's how much we believe in every product we carry. So Angela, by the way, she has all the information for us. Like I said, we are looking for internships in every department. We're looking to hire people, drivers. The store, like I said, should be opening in May. We have our commission hearing after sitting for over a year. And so I'm very excited about that, because as a woman of color and coming from where I come, black market, and then I was in the fashion program. So when she said Pantone, a lot of people don't know what Pantone is. The Pantone is what sets the mood for everything that's created for that next year. And I mean, from cars, from internet, from everything. And because I did go to school for fashion and marketing and all this buying and stuff, it kind of helped when I came into this cannabis situation. But so yeah, just keep going, keep working hard, and getting into these groups, and you can be there.
Okay. Well, hi. I come from Mexico, and currently I have a brand called Cancura, which is dedicated to provide medical cannabis services through technological means. But right now, our main challenge is that currently the topic of cannabis is kind of taboo in Mexico, if you know what I mean. So I know this is not exactly the topic, but I want to know what kind of advice can you give me in order to help my brand to create a conscious consumerism community and combat disinformation that is currently in Mexico about the cannabis? So that's my question.
I think when people aren't afraid anymore to come out about their cannabis use, if you open up, somebody else will open up. And if that person opens up, another person will open up. And you just need to show that we are not the taboo. This is not the stoner stigma. And so I think really just owning that and being vocal really, really makes a difference.
I think creating events, something similar to this, or it doesn't even have to be this big. When we started, we were, the People's Dispensary was called Benefit Health Collective, and we were a private dispensary where it was membership based only, and we couldn't promote publicly, but it was all word of mouth. And we had kind of socials, we called it. And that was the best way, one of the best ways to reach out to the community. And just within 2 years, we gained about 3,000 followers or consumers and patients, and you know, if it wasn't for those socials, we wouldn't be where we're at right now. And now that we're legally licensed, we could go public and tell the world. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a stepping stone.
Thank you.
So guys, we're getting the wrapping up. Thank
Can I
you
just say one thing about
sure.
compassion? I don't know if folks have heard about the under compassion programs. You used to be able to give away free medicine to terminally ill cancer and AIDS patients. And right now, with legalization, that is no longer the case. People are being taxed as if you were going to sell to farmers. When you're going to sell, you're taxed on the cannabis that you were previously able to give away for free. So I think that this is a really important social justice issue, and if you care about it, you should, SB 34, you should call Governor Gavin Newsom, tell him you support SB 34, that we should be able to give away free weed to people who need it.
There's been all this talk all day about education, and that's how you have these conscious brands. But I heard multiple times today mentioned really shady brands, big ag, folks who are coming in with a lot of money who are not from the industry. A lot of what happens in the industry comes from word of mouth. So in a sense, how do you put those bad players on blast to let the person walking into the dispensary or ordering on an app know that this person has a shady background, you should probably not purchase from them. This is a smaller brand, a brand that's been in the industry before it was legal. How do you educate consumers who are new?
Well, unfortunately for them, but I think some of those bad actors are exposing themselves really well. You know, if you look around the city, there are some billboards with girls in bikinis that it has nothing to do with cannabis. You know, they're putting it out there. And so we as consumers need to pick up on those things. You know, is that the kind of brand that we want to purchase? Or, you know, you hear things in the news about some of these bigger companies. So I think they're actually doing a really good job of exposing themselves.
Well, in grassroots movements in general, you know, we all use social media, and whether it's for business or most of us are at least on one platform, and it is word of mouth. If you find something that you don't like about a company, question it. Ask your friends to question it and spread that around. And it's the same with a lot of us are startups, small companies. I still think that we have a lot of freedom to define this industry, what we want it to look like, and the accountability. What do we want the accountability to look like? Ask the hard questions and use those platforms for that reason.
Speak truth to power. Okay, guys, so thank you so much.
I got this back.
I think we answered all the questions. Thank you so much. Vote with your dollars. Love and appreciate all of you. That's it for SHECANN. We're going to have cocktails.
One last thing. I'm Jen Lujan, Director of Social Impact at Ease. And whoa, can we just say, are you guys inspired by today? Because this is such an amazing room. And want to really thank Berkeley Haas School Business for giving this remarkable space. Thank you to Ms. Grass and Berkeley Cannabis Association, all the other sponsors, Kiva, PAX, Garden Society, Astor Farms. As many of you guys know, 100% of ticket proceeds went to the Hood Incubator and to Success Centers. This event was specifically all about creating a diverse, equitable industry. And only a couple years ago, you would never have heard of an event of something like this. So when Berkeley Cannabis Association came and they told us about this concept, it was a no-brainer for us. You know, we're not just, California is seen as the model state, and I think that there's going to be so much more opportunity for us to make sure that as an industry, we're getting it right, and we're creating more events like this. So Hood Incubator and Success Centers, they dedicate all the work they do to creating a diverse, equitable community. Hood Incubator had to go to a Black History Month event, but want to introduce Angela and Liz Jackson, who's the CEO of Success Centers.
Thank you, Jen.
This is so exciting. Thank you, everyone. My name is Liz Jackson Simpson. I'm the CEO of Success Centers. And I just wanted to share a little bit about us so we can get on with the party and to introduce this wonderful woman here. We've been around for 35 years, and we were started by judges who saw the need to provide alternative education and workforce development services to young people who are returning to community from detention, namely young men, much like Perry. And we've been around. We have a one-stop career center in San Francisco. We have a school, and we provide training in health, hospitality, construction, tech, the arts, and cannabis. And we put in a proposal. The city of City and County of San Francisco asked for new emerging industries and asked for proposals, and we proposed our cannabis program. We ranked the highest in the city, but we're not funded. Nobody got funded in that whole category because I was going to raise holy hell if they would have funded us. But at the time, the city was too prudish to provide any resources. A year later, when it became recreational, they were knocking down our doors. And we are so grateful to EASE because they still have not provided one dime of funding, but they call on us every single day to help them figure out their cannabis equity programs. And we do this because we know 80% of the young people that look like us are in detention for committing crimes that are of an economic nature. And to get to all those industries, we interviewed our young people and asked, what is it going to take for you and your friends to be successful? And they told us about all those industries that we target and cannabis. And all the other young people laughed when this one young man brought it up. And I said, no, what will it take for us to start training and start businesses in the industry? And from there, we've been working with one of our board members who was a former DA. And now is a cannabis law attorney. And so we have built this very strong program, and I think we're the only ones in the whole region, maybe the state, that's actively providing workforce development services as well as business incubator services to individuals who have been marginalized. We don't want our folks to be left out like we are the construction industry, like we were the tech industry. Here's an opportunity for us to be pioneers in this new budding industry. So this woman right here has been a dear friend, and we helped to build a curriculum for our program. And I asked her to come and join me as soon as the city called me, and I'm like, Angela, I need you right now. She said, when? I said, can you start tomorrow? She started 2 days later. She quit her job and gave a minute's notice to help me to build this program. And we didn't know what we were going to do, but here we are exactly a year later. And again, EASE was the first company that gave us a chance to meet their depots and begin. So 420 was her big day, and she recruited over 500 people to support jobs for 420. So without further ado, Miss Angela White, Queen of Cannabis.
Oh my goodness. So you can follow me on 415, I am 415 Queen Cannabis on Instagram. Seriously, my kids named me that. I want to thank everybody that came out today to support this mission, or massive, or however you want to say it. I'm going to continue doing what I am doing, and people are asking me, what is it that you're doing? I'm trying to bridge a gap between communities that have been forgotten and folks that have gone to college that look like me, that have been forgotten in the industries, tech industry especially, and I don't want this to happen in cannabis. I love what I do, honestly. And I love serving people, and I would love to see places like you that come from the Triangle to connect with some of these verified equity folks that are trying to start delivery services. Let's connect them. That's how we can help build business with the community. Call me. I have lots of folks that want to connect in business. Not only are we doing business and holding workshops at the Career Center, we're also helping folks get jobs in the industry. Bernadette Janae, she stood up and she spoke. This woman is highly capable of working for any one's company. So please reach out to me about the people that we have that come through the Career Center, because I want this to be a diverse community truly for everyone. And so that's pretty much what I have to say, and that's what I do. All right. And I'd like to thank my staff, our staff that's here with us today, Patricia and Zaray. I'd like to thank Jen Lujan and Miss Grass, I love that name, for everything that you guys have done for the Career Center and Success Center San Francisco. Thank you.
Good luck to you all.
Thank you.